On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get a win against the Wizards. They break a curse and go on a run in the fourth. How did they get it done? And, oh my God, why did they look so bad? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show. Make it Locked On Mavs your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video, and comment anything below. Let me know in the comment section what's one thing that stood out to you in this Mavs win against the Wizards. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use that code LockedOnNBA. Make sure it's all lowercase for a first deposit match up to $100, and we let it ride. Even in gross wins.
Hey, no ugly wins at this point in the season.
Joining me, as always, on the postgame prodigy. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
We continue this roller coaster. This Dallas Mavericks roller coaster.
Oh, the Mavericks. They're an unserious basketball team for 3.5 quarters, and then they come out and do what good teams do. They just close out a team, and so we'll talk about how they did that. We'll talk about Daniel Gafford, who's still getting boards. Even back in the locker room, he's probably grabbing rebounds, doing all kinds of stuff, everything. He was awesome. He's a monster. We'll talk about him. But let's start here slightly. The Dallas Mavericks get the win. They were awful. Literally 3.5 quarters. I mean, just awful basketball. 26 points, 25 points, 27 points in the first three frames against you. I saw you tweet this. One of the worst defenses in NBA history in the Washington Wizards. Why could the Mavericks not score?
I mean, I get, because I was thinking about this during the game. You just get so frustrated with the team's not doing well and the offense isn't churning out points like you're used to. You're like, man, this team is so frustrating. And then you just look at the 3-point numbers, and then sometimes you just got to realize, well, these nights do kind of happen. These nights do happen.
Are what they are.
Where they just couldn't hit threes, and that was really hurting them. But they also had, I want to say 13 turnovers in the first half alone.
Yeah.
And 15 turnovers through the third quarter. And to their credit, they cleaned that up majorly in the fourth quarter. Yeah. But it was really frustrating. And it's something that the Wizards are the fastest paced team in the league, and the Mavericks have made a concerted effort to improve their pace. I think they showed during the broadcast they're 6th in pace so far this season, which is, a huge, huge shift in where the Mavericks usually are in the Luka era. And it's games like these where it's like, it's okay to slow down and dictate the pace yourself offensively. If you're trying to run with this Wizards team that they just can't keep up with you in the half court. They're just not. And if the Wizards have like a red hot shooting night, they end up beating you. Okay, so what? But you can't let this team do. The only way this team can really beat you is if they get out and run and force you to play this game where you're constantly sprinting up and down the floor, and they take advantage of mistakes, which is what was happening early in the game. And it felt like in the fourth quarter, they did a much better job of running when the situation was there, but also just slowing the pace down to a pace that made sense for this Mavs team.
Yeah, and then you get the run in the fourth quarter. So the 8-minute and 23-second mark, the Mavs challenged a bad out-of-bounds play. I knew it right away. As soon as I saw it, I said they're not going to get this, even from my seat, which is really far away. Unsuccessful. They subbed Luka back in. The Mavs were down 86-95, so down 9 points right there with about 8:23 left. They go on an 8-0 run right after that when it was exactly what you just said. They slowed it down a little bit. They went into their half-court offense. Hardy got 2 threes out of, kickouts from Luka. Luka got doubled basically every single play of this entire game. The first 2 plays of the game were Luka getting doubled and then him kicking to Gafford, and that's why he got a bunch of boards. We'll talk about him. But that run in the fourth quarter really kickstarted it, and it's what good teams do. It's what stars do, right? You need to get going. Luka hadn't really been shooting the ball well. He gets a tough shot. He kicks out and finds Hardy for 2 open threes, and all of a sudden you're like, all right, here we go. We're back into this, and it ends up being an 11-1 run to take the lead back. It was just a much-needed run, and, it is good to see them, as much as it's frustrating, the stuff we talked about earlier, that they couldn't get going. For them to just close a game out like this was really good to see.
This is what good teams do, is even in games where it just looks like it's not. Do you think this team wins this game a week ago?
Maybe. I mean, they could.
I'd be shocked. I think we'd be coming on here saying, "My God, that was the most improbable win, maybe in the Mavs era, maybe in the Mavs franchise history."
PJ closed, and PJ got one real good tough bucket late that they really needed. 2:25 left. He hits like a real tough bucket with contact at the rim to make it 108 to 102. But like you could put Derek Jones Jr. in his spot, and I feel like it's the same kind of closing lineup because it was Luka, Kyrie, Josh Green, Maxey. He went with Maxey instead of Gafford. We'll talk about that too.
No way.
I think they could have closed it out a week ago.
I love what Derek Jones Jr. brings to the table for his contract. He's been great. He plays so incredibly hard. I have nothing but respect for him. Absolutely no chance they win this game with him in the closing lineup.
I just don't think it would have changed that much.
But Gafford had like 3 or 4 possessions where he attacks a closeout and attacks the rim and finishes or dumps it off or went to the free throw line. And I guess Derek Jones Jr. has done that, but it was under control in a way that I was like, okay, all right, I see it. And that closing group with, I mean, another reason why I say even a week ago is Maxey's just been trending upwards really in such an incredible way, especially defensively. That closing group defensively.
Maxey got a Nekias Duncan tweet today, and that's a really big thing. Nekias Duncan, shout out to him from the dunker spot. He just tweeted about how Maxey's been trending up. He's like, all the attention was on Gafford and PJ, but look at Maxey's offense. He mentioned his offense. He didn't even mention his defense, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, so Maxey got a nice shout out there. But like whether they could or not have closed it out, it's good that they did, and it was good to see PJ in that closing lineup too, to see where he can fit, to see how his defense has impressed me throughout really these first 2 games. Like his ability to move his feet, his length, like he just changes the game a little bit for the Mavericks, and that's just what they desperately need. He's definitely better than Derek Jones Jr. Like don't get me wrong, I think they still could have closed this game out a week ago with Derek Jones Jr. in his spot, or whoever else, maybe not Tim in his spot because oof. You know what? I'm playing for the name on the front of my back instead of the back of my back. So not Grant. Nope. Not Grant.
I honestly want to say I don't think that was a shot at the Mavs.
You don't think the Grant Williams quote was after his first game with the Hornets? He had the quote that said, it's nice that everybody gets involved, everybody's for each other. We're playing for the name on the front of our jersey instead of the back of our jersey, and now everybody's quote tweeting it. It says that it's a shot at Luka. You didn't think it was a shot at Luka?
I think it was more than anything just kind of – even if it was, I get it. I mean, he's probably salty. Like, you sign with the team in the offseason, you're like, all right, I'm going to be a big contributor on this team that's trying to win, and you're on the Hornets 6 months later.
He's just mad he's on the Hornets.
League. Yeah, I mean, they're 2-0 in the Great Williams era, so –
He's just mad he has to live in a state now where they put, like, vinegar in their barbecue. Like, come on. What are we doing, You never had North Carolina barbecue?
I can't quite – I do have a story about being in North Carolina, and let's just say it was a botched family vacation that we ended very short. We were stuck there like, what do we do here?
We had a North Carolina
by the beach.
We were driving to my aunt's house in Raleigh, and we were driving in our van from Ohio, and the window shattered. One of our windows just shattered, like a rock hit it or something. A rock hit it or something, and like it was so cold, we were like, we're just going home. we just drove back home instead.
Not a ringing endorsement for the Carolina Tourism Board.
Neither of us made it to North Carolina. Neither of our
South Carolina I've been to. They've got some great beaches there.
Just big South Carolina guys, me and Slightly.
North.
But the Mavs they close out this game, and it's good to see them do that. It was good to see Luka just kind of put them on his shoulders for a little bit and go on a run. He finished with a triple-double. What did he have? He had 26 points. That's going to really affect his scoring average, 26 points, 11 boards, 15 assists. He had 10 in the first half, right?
Yeah.
And, just a passing clinic from him. He likes having some of these guys, these finishers, and obviously Gafford. Like, he was connecting with him all night. So coming up, let's talk about Gafford. Let's talk about his contribution. We'll talk about some of the other things the Mavericks did in this one to win, too. All that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks Daily Fantasy made easy. Go check out Prize Picks and see what's available for you. They got all kinds of NBA stuff. Now that the NFL is over, what are you going to do? Use Prize Picks. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com. You can use that code LOCKEDONNBA. Go to prizepicks.com/LOCKEDONNBA. And then you just pick more or less on stat projections of 2 to 6 players. So you pick a couple of players, and they'll have a stat. It's points, rebounds, assists, points plus rebounds plus assists, stuff like that. And then you pick more or less on their projections. You're not playing against a bunch of guys in their mom's basement that have all these algorithms that know how to play. You're just playing against the projections. So you try it, you do that, and you can win some money on that. You could turn $10 into $1,000 when you do the Demon Time with the Demons and the Goblins. They've got this new mode that you can play. It's the newest, most exciting way to play Prize Picks. Squares marked with Demons and Goblins are the best way to get different payouts. So you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use that code LockedOnNBA for first deposit match up to $100. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to everybody that I saw at the game tonight. Amazing. Father and son from Germany came over. That was great to talk to them. Love to see that. I met up with Brian, one of my friends from college, and that was great to see him and his family. Just a great. And then I saw Mo, and Mo is on the 10-game ticket package that was cursed. Do you remember us talking about this?
Yeah, someone brought it to my attention during the game.
The cursed 10-game ticket package was this. So you can buy season tickets, but only in you can buy them in 10 games. So it's like a mini plan. This was the plan. I'm putting it on the screen. The first 6 games were all awful losses. The 30-0 run against the Thunder where they lost. The Memphis loss where they had nobody. The Cleveland loss where they had nobody. Lost to Boston. They finally get a win. The curse is broken. Shout out to everybody that was on that ticket package. I had so many people come up to me and reach out to me and tweet at me that said, I'm also on this package, and it's the worst because they're random. They're not like all in a row. They're just these random 10 games like in the middle of a season. And so for them to lose all of them was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, they win this one right before the Suns won. Break the curse going into one of the bigger games of the season.
Break it. They broke it. Let's talk about Daniel Gafford. He was great in this one. He had 16 points, 17 boards. In this one, here's the last like 5 or 6 players to get a 16-point, 17 rebound game. Luka has done it like 6 times. Porzingis only did it 3 times his whole time in Dallas. Boban did it twice with Dallas. DeAndre Jordan did it twice in 2018. Salah Mejri, do you remember that game? His crazy 16 and 17 game. He did it in 2017, and then Tyson Chandler did it twice in 2015 and twice in 2014. Those are the last one. Those are the last ones to do it. What'd you see from Daniel Gafford?
It's the Mavericks now have 2 guys that, especially Gafford, because he's a little beefier and plays a little bit more physically than Lively, who will just punish a team that's smaller. Like, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel his size. You're going to feel every inch of him. And whenever he goes up for rebounds, that last part was egregious. I'm sorry.
You deserved it.
Yeah,
you deserved every inch of that.
Yeah, that one was a little crazy. I'm sorry, but yeah, you're going to feel his length. I'm saying what I'm saying. You guys all get what I'm saying. You're going to feel his length and his girth, and I mean it. And you guys know what I'm saying. But there's no, how else am I supposed to word it?
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job explaining.
Thank you.
His rebounding is real. Like, he can really grab boards. Like, the Mavericks just needed somebody to just grab extra boards, to be physical. They just didn't have enough physical guys. I think him and PJ. Like, PJ brings some physicality too, with his size. And, like, they just desperately needed somebody like that. Because even Lively gets pushed around a little bit underneath because he just hasn't filled out. Like, he just turned 20 today, and so he still hasn't like filled out completely. And when he does fill out completely, he's going to be a monster, obviously. But to have somebody like Gafford to be that kind of physical, and he's 6'10", he's not a full 7 foot. He's not as tall as Lively. Doesn't have the same wingspan as Lively, but that size, he just, like, there are times when it felt like there was not a Mavs center, if they were out of position, would ever get a rebound, right? for 5 years. Porzingis, Christian Wood, Dwight, Maxey, anybody, like even Lively, like, just felt like if they were out of position at all or getting boxed out, they wouldn't get a rebound. And Gafford is getting that board. Like, he can go up there. He like taps it up to himself a couple times. He just has a nose for the ball. And his finishing too. I mean, first couple plays of the game where Luka getting doubled and then him just kicking it to Gafford. And I'm really watching, how is he going to play out of the short roll? How is he going to play after Luka gets doubled and he gets the ball at the free throw line or whatever? A couple of times he goes to he posted up Kuzma, one of the first ones. He tries that little floater. I don't know what I think about his like touch around the rim necessarily, but he's trying them. He's going for it. Maybe a couple of them should have been passes, but like, you just need that aggressiveness every once in a while because it adds that level of verticality gravity.
Yeah, that's going to be the swing skill for him, I think. And that's why I think Lively ultimately is the starter and will play the most minutes out of the group, out of the two, just because that short roll, that feel that Lively has in the short roll is legitimately special for a center his age. And Gafford, yeah, I mean, this was, whenever I was watching Gafford stuff in Washington, it was a clear and obvious sort of, wouldn't say weakness, but a shortcoming, where in the short roll, you had some passes where you're like, oh, okay, or some non-passes that maybe a guy was open in the corner you don't kick out to. But, I mean, hard to nitpick his game tonight because he was really good. 5 blocks, too, and 2 steals.
Five blocks. He just did really well, and he played against his former team. If I'm going to nitpick his game, Denny scored on him pretty easily a couple times in the post, like three or four times that I counted. And I was talking to Rafael Barlow from Locked On NBA Big Board, and he was like, Denny probably really knows his game. Like, these guys know each other really well. They played together for years, and he probably knows him. But I'm watching because I do want to see how does he do against guys that are bigger, because the Thunder didn't really have the size to go at him. Like, they had these 6'5", 6'6" kind of wings, SGA, Jalen Williams, those kind of guys. And so they're trying to attack him. That's different than if you have a 6'9", a 6'10" guy that's almost his same size trying to attack him. And how does he do against that? And against 6'9" Denny Avdia, he didn't look that great to me. Denny finished a couple times around him. So just something I'm watching. And one of the reasons why I think Lively will start ahead of Gafford as well, because just the size difference.
Yeah, Denny had a great game. So maybe it was that they just knew each other. But yeah, I mean, it could be. Gafford's not a 35-minute-a-game player. Like, that's not what the Mavericks traded for. The Mavericks traded for 24 minutes. Like, that sounds about right to me.
Half. And, split him half and half.
Yeah, and he's just going – when he's on the floor, you feel comfortable you're going to get every rebound that's available, and he's a shot blocker. And, yeah, Denny also, the Mavericks – so Gafford's a drop big. You don't really feel comfortable with him doing much else in a pick and roll. And that hurt the Mavericks a couple of times when Denny was just shooting off of those in pick and rolls. And part of it, too, was, I'll just say it, I thought Luka defensively in the fourth quarter picked it up and helped the Mavericks win. But the first 3 quarters, he was getting torched. Like, that's just the truth. And
what was that stat that was going around Twitter where he was like the 10th best isolation defender in the league?
Yeah, he's like the 10th best isolation defender. Isn't he like a top 5 post-up defender? I mean, the defensive metrics are crazy.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know about that. He's been better for sure, but the first 3 quarters he was not living up to his top 10 in the NBA.
No, they were the Wizards honestly did a good job of getting him involved in like almost every action. It felt like, because they were trying to stick him on Bilal Coulibaly in the corner, or Kispert, who was just horrible tonight. And they got him involved every time. And they were just abusing that matchup. But Luka, to his credit, I will say this about Luka, right? Is he played better defense in the fourth quarter. And I just like that he genuinely does care. He talks about it all the time. He brings it up in all of the post-game interviews. He's like, yeah, we did great. We did great because we got to stop on defense. We started playing defense. We got stops on defense in the fourth quarter. Like, he wants to be a great defender. And I give him props there. But it was bad in the first 3 quarters.
Hey, and he knows the weaknesses of his game. He knew the conditioning he needed to get right, and he knew his defense he needed to get right for sure after last season. Going back to Gafford, though, Maxey closed the game instead of Gafford. If the Mavs had lost this game, that would be a big talking point today. Why did Maxey close instead of Gafford?
Well, that defensive unit was just wreaking havoc. I thought going small there was the smart and right choice, especially trying to remember who the closing 5 was for the Wizards. Did they have Bagley out there? I don't think they did.
I don't think they went with him very often. They went small a couple times in this game because they only had Bagley, who's 6'10", and Rashawn Holmes, who might be 6'9". Yeah, who we know, but
right, kind of. We kind of
Bagley only played 5 minutes in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so that group I thought did really good, and it's an interesting new thing the Mavs, because they love small ball. We know this.
Yeah.
But the small ball that they were running was a crime against humanity. But now PJ Washington, who is bigger than Grant, and Maxey's sort of coming into this groove now where he's playing some of the best basketball he's played in years, especially on the defensive end. And now you have this group that you can go to where PJ's at the 4, Maxey's at the 5, and that makes a lot. And then you have Luka too, who's a lengthy player, and Josh Green, who is very, very capable, and Kyrie. Like, that's an interesting small ball group. And I thought it worked really well. So I like them going to it.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it either. I knew why Jason Kidd wanted to do it. They also needed their offense to kind of get a kickstart, and they went with the spacing of Maxey instead of the lob threat of Daniel Gafford. And I get that, right? Like, you just get more options. Maxey's been playing better than Gafford. Gafford's getting the stats the last couple of games, but like Maxey's defense has been legitimately game changing, and his, he had an amazing and one dunk in this game late too. That was awesome. Gafford couldn't do that. You just walk through some of the plays that happened at the end of the game, and you realize why that happened. Coming up, let's talk about the first 3 quarters though. Why was it unserious? Why was it so bad? Should we be concerned about it? And then we'll talk about some other good things that happened in this game too. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Everyone has something in their life. I say this every time. I'm honestly very serious about this. Therapy is something that has helped me possibly save my life. It's been something that I've desperately needed. I need to just talk to somebody. I do it online. I've used BetterHelp in the past, and it's an excellent service where you can find somebody that doesn't have a bias about your life. When you talk to your friends or you talk to your parents or you talk to a sibling, they're like in your corner, but almost too much, where you're like, hey, call me out on some of my stuff. BetterHelp will help you walk through some of those things while also giving you the questions and the tools to take what you've learned and use it in the future. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team. The Mavs are not a problem right now. That's good. And so it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Slightly. A couple more positives from this game. I thought Jaden Hardy was a positive in this game. 10 points off the bench. He had a couple rebounds. And I just thought his playmaking and just his ability to move the ball and drive with the ball, basically, I thought gave him just a little bit here and there. He obviously hit those 2 threes that were massive during that run, but Jaden's played some confident basketball recently, and he's looked a lot better than he did at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, Jaden's actually been playing really good. Just fitting in with the team, it feels like, not playing outside of the flow of the offense, which could be a problem.
You know what it is?
What?
Is now that the team has a little bit better structure with adding these 2 guys, and then when Lively comes back even more, I can squint and see this team without Tim, and Hardy can step into that role a little bit better.
You didn't need to squint tonight. I mean, Tim was a travesty out there. I mean, God bless him. But yeah, you are starting to see that maybe. I agree that maybe you're looking at it all right, you know what? This team, as it was constructed a couple months ago, needed Tim Hardaway Jr. shooting. They just absolutely had to have it. And you don't want to react maybe too much to a win, an ugly win against a terrible Wizards team. But man, yeah, I mean, they won this game, I thought, in spite of Tim tonight. And it's no secret they went on the run when Tim was out of the game. And I know he was frustrated. I saw a clip of him going out of the locker room, and he looked really frustrated. Just a rough game for Tim, but
just a very rough game for Tim. This is the unserious part. Tim Hardaway Jr. missed 5 shots in 2 minutes and 46 seconds.
Shocking.
That's insane to me. I can't imagine. Many teams don't take 5 shots in 2 minutes and 24 seconds in a span in a game. And for him to miss that many shots, he started 0 for 8, something like that. And it just seems like one of those games where if he's starting that bad, I don't know what you do with him. He ended up hitting one jumper and one mid-range jumper, 1 3, but he played under 22 minutes. And I think Kidd made the right choice, obviously, and not closing with him.
Yeah, how many second half minutes?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Can you pull that up? Because it felt he definitely was not out there for that entire fourth quarter run.
10. Yeah, he played 10 second half minutes. Josh Green played 13. Maxey played 15. Luka played 17. PJ played 20, and Kyrie played 23 and a half. He almost played the entire second half.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. The only time Kyrie checked out was in the garbage time, little last couple of seconds that the game had, which I thought was interesting because I think some of it was because Luka got hit in the face, had to check out of the game. Was in the locker room for what felt like a long time, but even before Luka went to the locker room, they sat Luka in what was usually Kyrie's time to sit and Luka's time to just play. And I thought that was a pretty good choice by Kidd because Kyrie saved the team in the third quarter. The Mavericks still lost the third quarter.
That's right.
But that game was sinking. The game was everything was in the balance. It felt like oh my God, we're actually going to get blown out maybe by the Wizards a couple of days after blowing out the Thunder. But Kyrie saved the team in the third quarter with his offense. And Kid just kind of let him ride. And then when Luka checked back in the fourth quarter, more well rested, he was really, really good and helped sort of propel the team to win.
Third quarter for Kyrie, he played 11 and a half minutes, so he did sit in that third quarter.
Okay.
For like a little bit. But 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists for him. He was -3, but still, like you said, they desperately needed that. Kyrie was really good in this game. And aggressive. He didn't score as much, but he was still pretty efficient. 10 of 19 from the field, 2 of 7, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. He shot 4. He made 4 free throws and took 6.
Finally taking free throws. Free throw shooting in general was terrible for the Mavs tonight.
I'm just glad he took 6 free throws. He hasn't taken any free throws in like the last couple weeks.
Did you know the Mavericks lead the league in clutch free throw shooting?
Percentage?
Yes. It's like almost 90%.
Well, only Luka and Kyrie shoot them, so.
I mean, I was shocked by that. They showed that on the broadcast. I was like, wait, what? This team?
That's the one where you're like, did the kid in the truck that pulled that up, did they just like look at the wrong basketball reference page?
Like, oh, this was from 2007 when Dirk was on the team. Whoops.
Yeah, it was like 2002 from Dirk and Nash, like 2 of the best free throw shooters of all time.
But it kind of makes it, because I was thinking, then I saw the stat, I was like, it does kind of feel like Luka's been really good at clutch free throws this year. And Kyrie's usually nails at the line. So.
Yeah, but yeah, Kyrie was really good in this game. They desperately needed his leadership, and just like his stabilizing force to just get him a bucket every once in a while. He had a couple of putbacks and rebounds. He just still surprises me. His vertical and his ability to – he had a putback that I swear was an offensive interference.
Yeah, it kind of looked like it.
It did look like it from my seat. From my seat here. Also, the P.J. Washington on the rim where the rim was moving and that play that got reviewed. I saw everyone on Twitter complaining about it. He grabs the rim when he jumps up there.
Yeah, but they said on the broadcast that I think the rule states it has to be a reasonable. It's like a pass interference in football. Like there has to be a reasonable sort of like the ball has to have a chance to go in. The ball was going backwards. I thought that was terrible.
That's right. The ball did not have a chance, but PJ did interfere with the rim.
He definitely hung on the rim. But even if that's one of those plays where even if it's the rule, you're like, okay, come on, that ball's not going in.
Can we take the last 3 minutes to talk about Spencer Dinwiddie's comment today?
Yeah, sure.
Spencer Dinwiddie spoke to Lakers media today. He is introduced by the Lakers. He signed with them in the buyout, and he was asked about his decision to come to the Lakers instead of going to the Mavericks. And Spencer Dinwiddie said this: "I'll tell you this analogy. Let's say you're a kid and you get your ass whooped by the bully. Dallas would have been like your mama, like, it's okay, baby. The Lakers are like your dad. Nah, you better go out there and fight till you win." How did you take this comment from Spencer Dinwiddie? Because there are many Mavs fans in their feelings about this.
Look, I don't even know. I mean,
right.
I guess
I got two things then.
Okay.
It's either about coaching specifically, because Kid is not one to like get in your face, all that. He's like I'm disappointed in you, instead of like the scream and yell at your face. Maybe it's about that. I don't think that Darvin Ham is necessarily that kind of like rah get in your face coach. Or it's about just the situation in general. Think about Spencer Dinwiddie's situation. He leaves the Mavericks. He gets traded by the Mavericks, goes to the Nets, and he's played terribly for the Nets. He's like last in the NBA in field goal percentage. He's played really bad. So it feels like he's gotten beaten up by the bully here. He could either go back to the Mavericks where it's safe. He knows everybody. He knows the system. Like, he knows all the things. The Mavs are in the playoffs. His role is probably not going to be as big as the Lakers. And so, like, it'd be more comfortable for him. Or he could go to the Lakers where they're not necessarily in the playoff rate. Like, they're in the play-in and have not played that well this season. And he would play a little bit more, and, like, it would be a new challenge for him. That's totally how Spencer Dinwiddie thinks. I'll take the new challenge, something different that I haven't done in my career, instead of just going back to the familiar. He's not Seth Curry. He's not signing with the Mavericks 3 times in a row, right?
No, I think you're right. I think that's what he was saying. I don't think it was necessarily a shot. I still am frustrated by him, and here's why. Mainly, I wanted him. No secret about it. I would love for him to come back.
I did too. I thought he would have been great.
Yeah, I mean, it does make total sense for him to go to the Lakers, though, because he'll have a much more defined role. Darvin Ham's already talking about he's closing. He's going to be in the closing lineup with D'Lo and Austin Reeves. All right, best of luck, buddy.
As soon as that signing happened, I tweeted, "Man, you can't play Dinwiddie, D'Lo and you can't play two of Dinwiddie, D'Lo, and Reeves together against any good teams because you're just getting destroyed on defense. And Darvin Ham goes, guess what? I'm gonna play all three of them together. I was like, really? You're gonna like bring attention to that? That's like your guys. Guess what? I'm gonna try this nice, cool lineup.
If Dinwiddie signs with the Mavericks or the Magic or even like the Bucks, I mean, this is maybe talked about for 15 seconds. But since it's the Lakers, there's this huge pomp and like, oh my God, like what we were doing, we're rolling out the red carpet. I wish him the best, except And the reason why I'm upset, Mavs, it's time to have a backbone, right? How many times are you going to be taken for this ride by potential free agents? Just go to the free agents and say, hey, are you going to sign here or are you going to the Lakers? Because if not, excuse my French, fluff off. All right. We're not doing the song and dance with you. You're not sitting at the late. You're not sitting behind the bench and you're going on. We're doing this press run. We're tuning into Danny Green's podcast to find out where he goes. No. Sign the deal or fluff off. We're not doing it. We're not doing this run around.
Danny Green's podcast. That is a dark moment in Mavs.
That was dark.
Mavs fandom history. We were all listening to the Danny Green podcast to see if he would come to the Mavericks.
What does this come to? Danny Green
did not need to know his co-host on that. Yeah. If Dinwiddie had signed, like that quote from Darvin Ham I mentioned earlier, though, is like if Dinwiddie signed with the Mavs and Jason Kidd was like, hey, guys, guess what? I'm going to play Dinwiddie, Tim Hardaway, and Jaden Hardy all at the same time.
Well, you knew you probably would.
Yeah, but he wouldn't come out and say it.
True. Yeah, that is a funny quote because it was like this. This is some basketball genius you guys have never even seen.
Guys, I'm going to try this. Aren't you excited? Don't you guys want to see this 3-guard lineup? That's
Everyone's
three terrible defenders.
Have you ever watched Spencer Dinwiddie play the sport? You guys know who you're getting?
I guess not. Yeah. There you go. Let us know in the comment section what's one thing that stood out to you for this game. We'll have Dana Larson, the great Dana Larson, back on the show tomorrow. And then Slightly Now, I'll have you for Victor Wembanyama, hopefully his AAC debut. He was a monster tonight. He had
Hey, I've been trying to warn you guys. This is getting scary if you're paying attention.
Over 10 points, over 10 rebounds, 10 blocks, like 5 assists in a game tonight. Just insane.
In under 30 minutes. It's getting scary what he's doing.
So hopefully we'll get to see him, but if not, then Slightly and I will still do the post-game show. It's not dependent on Victor Wembanyama. And then I'm going to All-Star this weekend, so no show on Thursday night going into Friday. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked on Mavs. Peace out. Boom!